れは幼女の皮をかぶった化け物です。
I watch a lot of isekai anime and I happened to come across this one particular isekai anime which I thought was pretty unique both in the sense of its main protagonist and its unique world building, but more on that in a minute. Before I dive into it, let's look at some interesting facts about the isekai genre. If you don't know, isekai anime happen to take place in a fantasy world which is very similar to a JRPG if you've ever played, which is basic knowledge and most of the side characters mostly act as bots. Also, the main tone of the majority of those shows are light-hearted and the main character is pretty relatable. Those were just a few topics from the many that exist. So, I recently just completed a show which many fans put it in the isekai genre, but that doesn't actually do it justice in my opinion. The show that I'm talking about is Yojo Senki, or as it is better known as the Saga of Tanya the Evil. With all of the introductions out of the way, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Now, I personally feel that this show is either overlooked since people put it in the isekai genre or it didn't receive enough hype. To give context to this video, let's look at the plot real quick. The anime starts as with any isekai anime where the main character, which in this case is an adult male whose name they've never mentioned as far as I can remember, who gets reincarnated into a fantasy world, but not any fantasy world. The world he has been born to is literally at a world war. Now, he didn't exactly have the best experience when he got there and he had to work his way up the top ranks of the military, and yes, this world also has magic. At a first glance, he may appear innocent and all, but he definitely isn't. Also, for those of you who couldn't tell, Tanya is a girl. Just wanted to get that out of the way before it led to any misunderstandings. Tanya has to learn to survive in the world that he has been transported to. And I know that Tanya is currently a girl, but since she was a guy before, I'll be using words such as he or him. Now, unlike other isekai anime, there is an actual reason for why he got reincarnated into another world, a world at war to be precise. Back in his world, the main character had a nasty personality which many people didn't like, and due to a certain reason, at the railway station, one of his colleagues pushed him and normally he would have died, right? His backstory isn't exactly a spoiler and is more of a prologue. Anyways, just before he died, time had stopped due to a god called Being X, and he asked him several questions and asked why his faith in his particular religion was low, and since he had a rotten personality, he said very unpleasant but logical answers, and to try to bring his faith back, the god called Being X reincarnated him to the world. Now the show doesn't exactly show how he was a baby and it only showed for the first 2 to 3 minutes. While watching this show, I often forget that this is an isekai show because it just doesn't feel like an isekai. I was surprised that this show made it to the isekai quartet anime. The reasons for every action has a meaning behind it, and that is easy to understand for the viewers watching. Like for example, Tanya is overpowered as with majority of the isekai characters, but we got to see how he got to that insane level through years of hard work. Not really though. The side characters have their own distinct personalities and each character's role is fully explained. One of the best selling points of this anime is that Tanya has to go through some immense difficulties due to the interference of Being X, and that is just fun to watch. Saga of Tanya the Evil takes place in a Russia-style world, guessing from the names, though no concrete evidence has been provided. The show's dark theme and how the characters handle it, the gruesome scenes, and the psychological emotional rollercoaster at certain points are indeed very unique, and don't think that it is right to call this an isekai anime at all, but more on that in a minute. One of the selling points of isekai anime is that the main protagonist of the anime is supposed to be related to a wider audience, but in no way do I find Tanya relatable, not even 1%. She is majority of the time very different from the other isekai protagonists, but that's exactly why I love her. She definitely is one of the more memorable characters in the dark fantasy genre, at least for me. But my favorite part of this show is definitely the world building and how the story is played out. We have this dark tone with magic and somewhat of science a bit here and there, but it doesn't feel out of place. Tanya works for the military, for one of the smartest military forces of her country, and she just wants to sit back in the reserves. But it seems that God had other plans for her, and by God I mean Being X. None of the characters in the show feel like side characters, and everyone has a role to play, whether it's just a grunt or a general. The side characters, who are more like the supporting characters to Tanya, bring out her twisted personality and makes it shine. The series has been popular enough to get a movie adaptation which continues from where it left off in the movie, and though the movie wasn't as popular as the series was, it had a powerful impact on the story shown thus far. Tanya got an amazing development and the revenge plot didn't feel edgy at all. It showed the impact that happens when something good is shown for a specific country but is bad for the other country or nation that gets attacked, and it was nice seeing all the other generals make tough choices which could have gone either way. Now, as I previously said, this can't be considered as an quote-unquote isekai because of the dark topics that were portrayed in this anime. Now, I know that the word isekai roughly translates to another world, but when you use this word in the anime community, you usually refer to the bright and RPG-like fantasy worlds. This world is more similar to that of Attack on Titan, even though it may have magic. I mean, magic is there in literally almost every fiction show. Despite being great, this is obviously not for everyone and definitely has flaws that are somewhat shown through the anime and movie. But I personally argue that this has more pros than cons and should be watched by more people to get the exact idea of what I am really talking about. All of the isekai anime have a similar atmosphere no matter how hard you try to differentiate them from one another, so this just felt like a breath of fresh air for me. The show is pretty unique compared to the norm and is one of those shows in my opinion that doesn't get enough appreciation and doesn't get talked about by different people on the internet. This has so many unique and wonderful characters, a unique plot, and most importantly a very unique world building. And that was all that I wanted to talk about in this video. If you have any questions regarding this or something else, then let me know them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more great content. As always, I'll see you guys next time.